On 2 hazmat crashes in 2 weeks, both requiring hours of cleanup.
Yeah, the shutdowns caused long commutes and raised questions about the cleanup process and how information is being shared to drivers. WTAJ's Jack McCune spoke with area emergency response teams. He's live in the studio. Jack, what did they tell you?
Maggie and Marty, a part of Route 22 closed more than a day in Cambria County the other week. I-99 more than 8 hours yesterday in Blair County. And back in February, hours for a turnpike ramp in Bedford County. All closed so hazmat crews can go to work, but emergency management coordinators tell me the cleanup can go far beyond just the time of the road closures. So far this year, 3 hazmat crashes grabbed the attention of drivers because they impacted major roadways. But officials say they're much more frequent than we might realize.
Probably there's a hazmat incident about weekly.
Scott Mignot is the director of public safety for Clearfield County. He says while it's usually a tractor-trailer crash or tip over on I-80, most of them don't require traffic detours or evacuations. He says when fire crews arrive on scene, they look for signs on the truck saying it's carrying hazardous chemicals. Then it's up to the fire chief to call in the hazmat team and ask to close the highway if necessary. Bedford County Director of Emergency Management Alex Delia says redirecting traffic is more so for the safety of the hazmat team as opposed to a risk to air quality for drivers.
You try to accommodate the public as best you can. So for instance, we had a spill on 220 last week, actually, where we set up traffic control for the safety of the first responders more so than anything. Granted, the truck was blocking the road, but once that got removed off the road, there was still a little bit of cleanup after the fact.
And just because the road is open doesn't mean crews are done.
Depending on what happens, how much of a spill occurred, how many vehicles there are, how badly mangled they are, it's going to determine how long it's going to take to get the wreckage out of the area.
Mignot says crews could be cleaning up for as little as a few hours to as long as a few years. He says a crash that caused fuel to leak into a swamp took over a year to meet DEP regulations.
If it's contained on the road, they could clean that up pretty easily with some sand and some small machinery. But once it gets off onto the sides, they got to do digging now. All that dirt has to be dug up. DEP has to come out. They have methods of detecting as they're digging to determine if the material, how far down it goes. And then all that material has to be disposed of. Then they have to bring backfill in and fill that back up.
And adding to the response times, many crews have to use hazmat crews from outside the county, other counties I should say, some who have to travel as long as an hour and a half to get there. I'm Jack McCune for WTAJ News. Guys, back to you.
Jack, thank you.